Okay, so welcome everybody. There's some new faces here for me, and that's really lovely, and some faces that I recognize as well. For those who don't know me, my name is Israel, and I've been a channel for Yeshua for really close on 12 years, I would think, on and off. I've very much been off recently for some time. I can't remember the last time I've actually channeled for a group. It's been a while. Um, and that really has been for several reasons. I think uh, primary among them is probably my resistance to the process of channeling. And also, I think Jeshua just waiting for the right moment, the right time to come along. And this must be the right time because here we are. And there's very much an alignment in myself and with Jeshua to join with you today. Who's familiar with channeling? Who's experienced channeling before? Who's been to channeling before? Okay, great, super. Well, it's going to be a little bit different for every channel. That's something that I recognize that each channel has a unique flavor, shall we say. Um, and for myself, with Jeshua, it's very much an energetic experience, as well as being an experience of words and engaging the mental body. But the primary focus really is in joining together in in a group field. And this is what Jeshua is very keen on creating through me. He says that it is the group that channels in this environment. It's not just me with Jeshua channeling at you, right? It's an invitation to come into a group field, a group experience, what he would call like a unified field or a harmonized field, in which we all share in the process of channeling. We all open our body, heart, mind, soul as much as we want to allow a flow of energy and to, I'm going to say, pierce the veils to create a space in which the light of our own truth, the light of creation, the essence of who we are can be felt, experienced, and more easily realized here in the world of dreams as we are dreaming together and collectively and individually. So that's the first thing that I want to say is that this is a group experience that we're invited into. Yep, the words will be coming through me, but the energy is a shared field. And so with that in mind, there's an invitation to simply breathe and relax. There isn't really anything else to do. That's all that I'll be doing here is breathing and relaxing. We don't have to do anything. And just through that process of breathing and relaxing more deeply, everything will occur in the way that it wants to. And there's probably a lesson even in that for all of us. There is for me, certainly. Um, the next thing I want to do by way of introduction to this is like I really invite you to be in your own discernment. Okay, like I'm here as a channel for Yeshua. I have my connection with Yeshua, but the last thing I want for anyone to do is to take my word for it. Like I don't want anyone to give their power away, thinking just because I'm saying something is that you have to agree with that. Okay. So the invitation is to be in the discernment and really for this process, the discernment, I would invite you into a discernment of the heart and feeling, because that's what's being conveyed here. It's Yeshua wants to convey the feeling of love through this channel. Um, So yeah, be in your own discernment and know that if it's, it's like if it's not quite fitting for you, that's awesome. Okay, that's absolutely perfect. But please don't say, oh, it must be true because it's coming through here. Like, be in your own discernment. I can't stress that enough, really. Um, all right. I think that's everything that I want to say about the channel. Are there any questions before we begin? Just to clear anything up that might be niggling away. No? Good. Excellent. I am recording this, and the way that I'm recording it is that I will record my face. So when we send the recordings out, it won't look like this. It should be, fingers crossed, the first time I've done it like this, fingers crossed, it should just be my face on the video. Just so that you know, and this will only be going out to those people who have signed up. So this is not going to be in a public domain as such. It's a small group who've signed up, and this video will be made available for them. But just to say that it will just be my face on the screen and not everyone else's. The process we're going to go through, we're going to have a little breathe in a minute, relax together. I'm going to speak a little prayer, and then I'll drop into the breath and open the channel. That can take as long as it takes. Right? Sometimes it's a minute and sometimes it's 10 minutes, really depending on how muddled I am and how ready my system is to receive Jeshua. And as he always says, he's not going to interfere with my mind. He comes in when I've made the space for him. So that can be very quick. Sometimes it can take longer, and we'll just sit in silence until it happens. But after the prayer and the silence, Yeshua will be speaking. He'll speak for as long as he wants to speak for, and then we'll come back into this space. We'll take a breath and we'll take a break for around about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just allow us all to reset, because then we'll come back, we'll go back into channel, and we'll take questions from the group with Jeshua as well. Is that clear? All right. Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to get comfy. I suggest you do the same. And we're going to breathe together. So again, the invitation is just to bring awareness to the breath. Let the breath deepen in the body. Relax. And I'm going to speak a prayer to set the space, and then we'll begin to open the channel. Holy Mother, Father, God, open this space here within the mind that we share for the love of Christ to join and move. Let us be unified in that mind, in this intention, that only love is present here. And in that love, we join with the lineage of Christ, that is of that same love as we are. and sanctified this space, that truth alone be shared with our brother Yeshua ben Joseph, our friend. Yeshua, I invite you here. Amen. Now, we begin. And indeed, greetings, beloved friends. Indeed, greetings and welcome unto this place in mind, unto this realm of beingness in which we share one heart and one breath, in which the world rescinds from the awareness, in which the self is able to release temporarily its attachments to that which serves it not, yet remain as if it were a primary expression of truth. Welcome, my friends. Welcome indeed. For it is a great joy for us to join with you in the field of union that pervades all creation, all ways, and yet is so rarely seen and felt from the perspective of yourself when immersed, when immersed in the dream of your dream. So let this stand as an invitation in this moment. Let this stand as an invitation in this moment unto your soul for this time that we have together to relinquish the spheres of mind that abide in the world and come, beloved, come forth to step into the field of union where we abide as a one and breathe of the breath that we breathe together. This is my invitation unto you. If only for this moment, to dare to be bold enough to shrug off the layers of costume that you have adorned yourself with, to unzip these suits of imagined perspective, to shrug yourself out of the dramas of the dream that you have indeed very specifically chosen in the past to dream. I would see you, my beloved brother, and I would see you, my beloved sister, in the light of your reality. Not in the imagined character of your illusion, not in the imagined characterization, the illusory personality that you have constructed in order to fulfill an ancient mistake. But rather to pierce through the veils of illusion that you have adorned yourself with so specifically, so that I can come to see the glory of you. For I will tell you now that I come here for myself, that I may gaze upon the glory of you, that I may bow my head in reverence to the mastery of our Father's creation as it abides within the depth of your heart and your soul. And in this, my beloved friends, in this is the greatest equality. For it is at the core of you that I witness the glory and the beauty of my Father's creation. And there is naught in creation as glorious as you. Yes, indeed, I come to impart this knowledge to you. I come to share in this glory with you. I come to invite you into the knowingness of who you are. And yet, in truth, I come because I am in awe of who you truly are. And let this knowing land within you that the sonship is in awe of itself, always in reality. And so I create a new invitation, an invitation that the next time you look within the mirror, choose to see beyond the veils of your costumes and into the heart of your soul, reflected in the eyes of your body, into the depths of your heart, and remember the glory that you have been created to be. And so this leads me through a defining of yourself as something that maybe you have not truly allowed yourself to recognize for some time. But let me assure you, this is the only reality of who you are. Let me say that again. The glory of Christ in your heart is your only reality. It is the only identity that is truly real for you. And that means that every other form of identity that you hold to yourself is unreal. The name of your body, mind, personality in this life is but a construct of thought and ideas that will dissolve in time into the wholeness of yourself. It is a temporary identity born in time. And as it is born in time, it will end in time. Yet, how much confusion is there, my friend? How much confusion pervades this realm of experience when we speak of identity? For how many of you, and indeed how many beings upon this plane of experience, confuse their identity? There is a question that formulates a basis of much spirituality, is there not? Who am I? And let me tell you this, beloved friend. the question, who am I, is grounded in confusion, is it not? Hmm? How could it not be confused in mind to not know who you are? It must signify that at a deep level of mind, indeed a foundational level of mind, a confusion of identity has occurred. For if there was not a confusion of identity, why on earth would this question be necessary? Who am I? Are you this or are you that? Are you Sarah or are you Bob? Are you a man or a woman? Are you real or an illusion? How can it be that there is so much confusion about the simplicity of who you are? If that confusion is not grounded in the very root and core of the experience that you have chosen to embark upon. And so today, let identity be the theme of this communication. Because in many ways, it is a confusion of identity that allows the dream to play out as the dream. For if you knew who you were, you would, in truth, awaken to reality. For who you are in reality is very obvious unto yourself. There is no confusion of identity in reality, for you are the glory of God's love in creation as a form in mind. I wish to take us to an ancient beginning. But think not of this ancient beginning to be outside of yourself or outside even of your body. This is an ancient beginning that abides in the root of your experience and form. It is an ancient beginning that is embedded in the deep roots of the mind that you have proclaimed to be in separation. It is a deep root that has become the core of who you believe yourself to be, and yet who you are not. Let us return to the source of the dream, in which two things were necessary. One was the energy, the power of creation. For how can anything move? How can anything become without the energy of creation? And this, my beloved friends, is the truth of you. This is your essence. This is the glory of God as it is within you. It is the power of creation. You yourself are that power of creation given direction in individuation and form. You are that light that gives and births worlds and realities and experiences and expression. This is essential in the creation of anything. You are essential in the creation of anything, for you are made in the image of God, and God is pure creativity, pure sexual energy, pure light, pure love, as are you. What else was required at the time of the birth of the dream of separation that you have been dreaming for so long was a mistake? You have heard this from me before, the error that you have created in error. What do I mean by that? And let me affirm this. I do not mean that something has gone wrong. I do not mean that something has gone wrong. Let us eradicate that belief from the mind in separation. For it is a grand misperception to create the assumption that because I use the word error or mistake, I am clarifying that something has gone wrong. And that indeed, therefore, a natural progression of mind in separation is to conclude that I am wrong. Let us eradicate this way of thinking from mind. For how can it be a mistake if it was very deliberately intended and selected and elected, chosen and prescribed? In order to experience the self in the dream of separation, it was absolutely essential, absolutely essential, that a false premise was believed, that there was a mistaken perception given the power of creativity. And as I have said before, there is one mistaken perception, that is, that the separation was real. And the power of yourself, the power of your truth, the creative force of life that flows through the root of your being up. This is that which you brought to energize the mistaken perception. And you suffused yourself with that which is false. And in that suffusion, in that envelopment and penetration of the reality of yourself into that which is false, the confusion of identity has proliferated until you have become lost. For it has been assumed that at the core of your beingness, that the essence of who you are is something false that is real. Yet, how can something false be real? How indeed, beloved friends, can something false be real in reality? It cannot. It cannot. It cannot be real. Mm. So the foundational belief of self as being separate is false. It has appeared real because the reality of self has embraced fully that falsehood as if it was real. And from that primary illusion has sprung forth trillions of illusions in mind, trillions of fragmentations that are each a reflection of the primary delusion, and each suffused with the power of self as the legitimizing and validating force that has become confused in identity. But at the core, at the root of this construct in mind is the primary fallacy. The energy of self pervades all things, even in the dream, for it is through that energy of pure creativity that we are, that the light of creation gives rise to the dream itself. And yet it does not reflect reality. It reflects only illusion. Well, my invitation to you, my friends, my invitation is to acknowledge the depth of the importance of the confusion of identification that has occurred in the deepest places of mind, reflected in the root of your body. And to come to the decision within yourself to choose, to see how you have pervaded the dream with your reality and how you can choose to return, to withdraw, to unblend, to retract, to rescind, to remember. What alone is true, that you are one throughout creation, that you are one, that you, my brother, are one in creation, not many in mind, fragmented from self, imagining all of these aspects, these parts to represent a reality of yourself, for they do not. For you are one and whole and singular with the Father, even as you live and breathe your individuation. It is your Father that lives and breathes and loves through you. When you remember, my beloved sister, when you remember the reality of that which you are, unhindered by the constructs of the world and the belief that you are what you are not, for you cannot be that which you are not. You cannot be that which is not. And you cannot find that which you long for through the beingness of that which is not, for nothing can be sought nor gained through the dream of the world. And yet the suffusion of self not only runs deep, but runs through the very core of the experience of the dream. And because the reality of self has moved through every aspect of the illusion appears to the mind to be so very real, for at the heart of it, in the core of it, is the reality of yourself playing the game of illusion through mistaken perception and belief. And within this suffusion arises all manner of experiences related to separation: fear, guilt, shame, anger, distrust, doubt. And great value is given unto these things. Great value is given unto these things because underneath all fear is a lack of safety and an expectation of threat and harm coming towards the self suffused with falseness. This lack of safety pervades the dream and creates value for these forms of beingness that appear to the mind in a myopic separation, that appear to provide the means by which safety, approval, survival can occur. I wish to offer unto you a practice, my beloved friends, for the next 3 weeks, if you choose to engage with it. It is a simple question. It is a simple question to offer unto the fear that may arise in the system. or the guilt that may arise in the system. Whatever arises in the system, my friends, I would ask that you meet it with this question. How is it that you serve me? How is it truly that you serve me? And through this, listen carefully to the responses that come. Listen carefully to the images that arise in the mind from the past. Pay close attention to what occurs in the field of your awareness when you ask the simple question, how does this serve me? And if your question comes with the flavor of judgment, as it may, take a breath and step back. Take a breath and step back. For you will not receive a clear response if the projection of judgment is made upon the energy. Step back and forgive the judgments that arise. Dissolve the judgment from mind through the power of forgiveness, through love, through embracing that which arises and occurs. And ask again, how is it that this energy is serving me? And you will come to see through this question the layers of value that arise in the dream that make it difficult to release and let go, because there is the perception that these energies of fear are of value and service. Now let us play with this, if you will, if it is something you would choose to embark upon. For I say this unto you, why would you put down the things of the dream, the things of the world, if you felt that you were certain that they served you in reality, that they were of great value unto you? And let me say this now, there is in the dream of separation no energy more valuable than fear and judgment. And all the while it is known within the depth of mind that there is value in fear and judgment, the dream will remain, and you will not know salvation or love or who you are in reality and truth. For these things relate one to another, my friends. The core identification that is made with the mistaken perception, the error of perception, the error indeed of creation. You yourself, as a creator, have created in error. And let me clarify very specifically once again, that does not mean that you are at fault or have done anything wrong. Let me say it plain and simple. You, beloved friends, have done nothing wrong. You, beloved friends, have done nothing wrong, even as you continue to create in error. You have done nothing wrong. Hmm? And yet you have created in error. That you have created very deliberately in error to create an experience that was before wholly impossible, and indeed remains highly improbable in the grandness of creation. You have deliberately chosen to confuse your identity with that which is not what you are. And you have searched, and you have searched, and you have searched, and you have searched and searched again for the reality of your identity through body after body after body after body, and name after name, the name after name, and sex and gender and story and experience again and again, looking, 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 looking. Maybe that's where I am. Maybe that's where I am. Maybe that's where I am, when all along, beloved friend, you have been through all of it. And you remain now as you were created to be, always suffusing the power of creation and creativity through every breath into everything you do. For you have ceaselessly created, unendingly created. But this time is calling for a shift, not in the reality of who you are, but in the mistaken identity with a false idea and the resultant transformation of your creation. As you learn to flow in alignment, not with an idea that stands against the flow and the tide of life that separation is, but rather in harmony with the reality of the truth of who you are, which is God's holy child. And within that flow of life, true perception abides always. And true perception brings about the reality of God's queendom wherever it is met with love, the love that we are. So I invite you to bring the power of your creativity, the power of the truth of yourself out of the dream and into the reality of the knowingness and the simplicity of being one. And allowing that life to flow. But the initial perception of separation is a thought, nothing more. It is a thought, just as all creation begins with the power of creation in combination with thought in mind. This is the foundation of all creativity, regardless of what you are gazing upon, be that a leaf on a tree or a computer upon your desk or a planet in the heavens. All things arise through thought, suffused with the power and the grace of life itself that you are. And the thought of separation stands against the flow of life. It is a resistance itself. So the invitation is to release yourself from a false identification with the resistance to life, and into and returning to the knowing, the knowledge, the beingness of self in the flow of love's grace now. It is to know who you are, not to question who you are, but to know who you are. And to allow that knowing to permeate every strata of mind. Let us breathe into the ancient beginning, whereby the consciousness you are chose, decided to become suffused with a false idea. Would you be willing to choose again in the depth of mind, where once you took the plunge into the dream, to awaken from this false reality of identity into the grace, the ease, the precision, and the love that you have always been. For now, my friends, we step away momentarily. And we will release the channel for now. Yet we will return shortly to answer questions that arise in the field of mind, that come through words. It will take Israel several minutes to return to a capacity to communicate. So please breathe, rest into yourself, and we will see you shortly. Amen.